Hi guys, and welcome to part 3 of making a cartoon ninja in Blender. We carrying on right where we left off, editing the eyelids to shape the eye, or to fit the eye a bit better. Here I'm moving the eye up. Um, we keep looking in wireframe mode just to see how it's fitting. For now it's okay, so I'm clearing the rotation and scale, Control A, and clear it. Adding a mirror and selecting the mirror object, selecting the character so that it mirrors across the character instead of across its own origin point. And it would be a good time to save your file. He's definitely starting to look like a ninja. Looks a bit weird at the moment. But we still have some work to do around the eye area. Yeah, now we're gonna add the subdivision surface and we'll finally kind of see how this is looking. Smooth it out here in the T panel. So yeah, it's definitely looking good. Got some immediate edits to make here by the sleeves. We just add an edge loop in there just to make it look like it's not a part of this object. We don't want it to smooth out so much. Do the same here by the neck. This part we'll be editing it soon. I'm just adding a loop pattern there once again to make it look like it's going over this part or not completely attached to it. Yeah, so now I'm pulling this down. I'm going to change to proportional editing and realize that's a mistake because it's pulling the whole suit. So I'll go back to normal editing and just pull it vertice by vertice or a few at a time. Just edit it for now. I'll come back and edit this a bit more later. What I'm doing here is completely wrong. It's supposed to be 2 vertices at a time that I should be pulling here. So it's best to go in wireframe and make sure you're doing that. You'll see later why it causes some problems, but easy fix. So yeah, just looking at the character from far, the mask is really a bit extruded too much. So I could have fixed this easily by selecting all the outer faces and just scaling them down. I don't know why I didn't do that, but we'll get later into that. For now, I'm just creasing this area by adding another edge loop in there, trying to make sure that it looks like this bottom piece is going underneath the top piece or something like that. Here I'm just pulling these vertices down once again just to make this extrusion smaller. I thought if I go into the normal mode it would be better. It's not really. The arrows are a bit not pointing in the direction that I would have liked them to. So I'm trying local again, it's really off. So yeah, instead of using that, I'm just trying to line up my view and just use grab and pull it down. And yeah, that seems to work out okay. So of course we gotta do that all around. And yeah, of course, if this was a personal character that I'd like to use in a lot of projects, you spend much more time trying to sort out certain things and really make it look the way you want. For the tutorial purposes, just trying to work fast when there are some things that I'm not too happy with, but it's not that bad. Just let it go. Yeah, it's just decisions you make related to time and how important this project is actually. Uh, like at the moment, I'm focusing more on rigging and animating of characters. So I don't set up my scene properly and stuff, or I don't worry about texturing it and stuff. I'm just worried about body mechanics, so um, I don't go waste time with texturing and things like that. Here I'm shaping the head again. I wasn't completely happy, so of course it means bye-bye eyes. I'm just hiding them for now. I didn't delete the eyes, I just hid it. I'm gonna delete the mirror, edit the one and mirror it again. So yeah, here I'm editing the eye. I'm scaling it down just for now. I feel like it's the right thing to do, but I'll come back later and scale the eye up again. So yeah, just taking a good look around, trying to make sure everything looks good. And yeah, now I'm gonna round off this chin again, proportional editing off. And yeah, you should be careful with pulling around vertices like this when you have your subdivision surface, because it's very easy to start intersecting with geometry if you pull a vertex and it's crossing an edge that it shouldn't be. You could get some funky results. So here I just spread it out these edges to get a smoother result around the chin. And yeah, once again, just taking everything around that and trying to equal the spacing a bit, smoothing it out basically. Once again, proportional editing, scaling it down so I can work on this chin, the throat area. And yeah, here, as you can see, there's big gaps within the faces and their sizes, so I'm just neaten things up. If you don't neaten things up as you go, you're going to find it very annoying and tedious, maybe quite difficult to clean things up at the end. So it's better to just do it a bit as you go. Doesn't need to be serious. But yeah, just a little bit here and there, and you'll see eventually it's just going to make sense and you'll be able to clean things up really nicely. Here the head is a bit funny shape, and that's once again from my base mesh being a bit blocky and not shaped well. So I'm just playing around here. You can see these vertices are terribly in, so we'll bring that out a bit, bring the main back part out, and then take the sides and kind of bring them in from a top view, just to try and get better shapes around here. And a bit smoother as well. So as you can see, it's really back and forth. You're kind of working in layers, just like anything else actually. 2D work in GIMP or Photoshop, you always work in layers, and if you don't, you always end up with mistakes and things that aren't easy to fix. So it's best to work in layers, start off small and do as much as you can with as little as possible before you start adding details and geometry and stuff like that. So here I'm smoothing out the head again. These edges were quite too close to each other. It's not necessary, and I want to make a kind of bulge for the ears, and this would be convenient to move these edges closer to the center edge, and then I can grab these faces here and inset them just like we've done all the times before. And yeah, then without proportional editing, we'll just pull this out a bit, and I don't know if I rotated it. Yeah, rotating it would make sense, and then we can just edit slightly the parts around it. And yeah, it just got a slight little bulge there, like there's ears, or maybe some padding around the ears, and just to protect it and stuff. Here I'm noticing some funny shading. It's related to this vertex being not just high up, it's got a quad that's kind of stretched, and you can see that edge, it's kind of hiding behind this vertex, but it's from the same quad. So once again, it's like I explained earlier with the flipping. So I just fixed that by trying to get this quad less bent, because if you have all your vertex not really lined up on a quad, it could be some funny shading. And yeah, now I'm shaping around the eye here, giving kind of eyebrow bulge around the eyelids. There's not a lot of geometry around this part, so it's quite hard to get it smooth. It ends up looking quite sharp, but I'll fix that soon. So yeah, I didn't really want this indentation between the eyebrows. At the moment, I thought it could be cool, and it could add to when we animate him to have a lot of expression around the eyes, since it's going to be the only facial features. But finally, I preferred it to be a bit more rounder. It's still hard to do that because when I move this vertex here, or vertex here, it changes the shape of the suit around the face. So yeah, I'll leave that for now, carry on there. The way I removed the sharpness was moving this vertex upwards and more away from the eye, and give it a more rounder shape. And finally I'm adding another edge loop in here, and that's why it was nice to do the insets for the eyes, because it automatically creates loops for you, which is very important around the eyes. And yeah, so I'm shaping this as best as I can, just to bring out the bulge a bit more and make it slightly more round and less sharp. And yeah, we're gonna do the same with the bottom. And finally, we'll add another edge loop very close to the eyelids, and we'll push them back to kind of define the eyelids a bit better. So yeah, there's a lot of playing around, especially for me with this. It's my first time making a character with complete just modeling. I usually go from my first base mesh straight to sculpting and sculpt all my shapes and then retopologize afterwards. Yeah, retopology is quite difficult to learn, especially if you want to animate your character. So I find this way intuitive for beginners. So here I'm selecting this face loop here, and I'm gonna move it backwards. Okay, so first another edge loop there, so that I can have kind of extrusion effect around the eyelid when I push it back. And as you can see, it kind of forms the shape of an eyelid there, and it does take some tweaking to make this look better. So yeah, of course here, like completely in the corner of the eye, we'll take those vertices there and push them back, and it will kind of smooth out the part going into the corner. So I grabbed the wrong, no, I only grabbed one of the vertices, thinking I took both. So here I'm grabbing both, and you'll see what it does. It just automatically transitions into a smoother part for the corner of the eye. And yeah, then I'm increasing the bulge around the other areas, and then we'll go into vertex mode after this edit here, and just smooth out the transition, especially in the bottom part of the eyelid into the rest of the eye, just like what I'm doing now. So you need to find the back vertice there and just double tap G to move it upwards, and you kind of smooth that shape out of it. And yeah, we'll do the same with the bottom here. So there we go, we've smoothed it out, and we've got decent eyelids that should animate quite well. So now I'm going back to the eyebrow here, trying to once again smoothen that part out too. I don't want it to have that sharp crease, I want it to be quite smooth and roundish. So yeah, I was thinking of adding another loop there and decided not to. It's not really needed. And yeah, now it's just back to making some edits once again here to make this part not so fat. Maybe as well this helps to smoothen it out a bit. So yeah, here I need to grab a few, so I just align the view to a good angle, and in wireframe mode, lasso select them with control and right click, hold in right click and drag your selection. Doing the same thing here by the legs and what I did by the arms, just to show that this is a kind of suit and it's ending there to a certain extent. And yeah, so here we're going to add some details. I don't know if you've seen some samurais or ninjas, they have this kind of rope effect wrapped around their shins and their wrists, bit of the forearm. Sometimes it even encompasses the whole hand, it becomes a sort of glove. So it's just what I'm doing here. I added some edge loops. Now I'm selecting the parts I want to create that. Sorry, I've removed that so I can have equal spacing. And then I'm going to control B and bevel this. And because it selects the inner edges as well, I'm going to have to deselect this and go and select them all manually quickly. And yeah, one last bevel here, and then it's gonna be E to extrude, and we're going to use Alt S immediately to give this some thickness for extrusion. And yeah, we've got this kind of ropey effect here, and this is not really necessary since it's a cartoon character. We're not going with crazy detail. Yeah, sorry, I'm adding an extra one here just to make it look equal. And then I'm going to go in vertex mode and kind of with proportional editing just move these different parts up and down to not make it so equally round and uneven, or too even, sorry. Another thing, when you use the lasso select, especially when you're in wireframe mode, always zoom out and check the rest of your model, because this tool is faulty. You'd think you're only selecting this part and somehow it selected some vertices around the rest of your model, and you'll be moving those around without noticing because you zoomed into an area. So always just zoom out. In wireframe you'll see the orange dots. Pop select to remove them, holding shift, and you're all good after that. So yeah, we changed that up a bit. Gonna do the same thing around the wrists area now. So this all looks kind of equal, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same as by the feet. Seems like I'm having some brain farts here. Okay, so what are you doing? Okay, I found this to be a bit too long, so I'm taking it. I dissolved some edge loops and selected the rest and just moved it up along the normal to make it shorter. And now I can go ahead, select all these edges and do the same thing as by the legs. So Control V and extrude and Alt S without proportional editing. And yeah, you got the same shape as by the legs. It would be a good point to save, so we'll just save on top of the other one. I usually go save as because Blender doesn't always compress it, so even if I've selected it, sometimes it just goes back and doesn't compress it. And yeah, so now I think it's a good time to start the shoes. This is something that could have been achieved with the skin modifier too, or at least a decent base mesh for it. But I prefer making my shoes this way. I feel that I have a bit more control. It might take a bit more time, but you could usually have some nice results and make kind of any shoe you want. I think always starting with squares or a cube and adding edge loops slowly, defining the shape as much as you can while it's this square and sharp edge shape, and then you can go and add a subdivision surface. And yeah, if you've designed the shoe as good as possible as being a square, it's gonna really look good when you add the subdivision surface without much changes. So here I'm having a problem from the top view, so I went in local mode by hitting the slash symbol on my numpad. Another way is just to hide the ninja body and the sphere, the outliner, and it will be out of your way. And yeah, so I'm shaping these corner parts, knowing that I'm going to add a subdivision surface, so this will just allow it to be round. And I mean, already just doing that, you can start to see a shape of some sort of foot or shoe. And we won't be modeling the hand in this part because the time was getting to us. But in the next part, we're gonna quickly model a hand, actually a glove with 5 fingers, and then we're gonna go in and prepare the model. So apply the subdivision on a certain level, remove unnecessary geometry so that we have our low version, to add a multi-resolution modifier so that we can sculpt a bit on top of that. Cool. So I inserted the top faces here. Once again, just looking at it from all angles. I want this front part here to kind of make a ball area or bulge. So I'm adding the edge loops where I want the bulge to begin. And I'm gonna need one around here too. It's once again, it's like an extrusion by adding these loops, because now I can pull this face up and just work like an extrusion. So from the side view, bring this down, and I think I'm going to scale it up again and rather give it another extrusion and scale that extrusion down. So yeah, more brain farts. I'm just thinking a bit. Yeah, I mean, I still need to think when I'm modeling. Sometimes even basic shapes, it takes me a while to figure out the solution. So yeah, we've got this bulge part coming here, and yeah, there's obviously some more thinking to do for the rest of the shoe, but it's quite basic if you just think about it, and don't be scared of like deleting faces and, you know, removing parts that they don't need to be there. They're in your way, they're blocking you from understanding how to keep modeling. So you delete them and just work from those pieces, and you'll see what I mean soon. Here I notice a triangle. Made a mistake, I think, when I added my edge loops. There should have been one extra, maybe. So maybe I haven't noticed this triangle yet, but I will soon, and we'll fix that. It's an easy fix. So here I'm having some brain farts trying to figure out what's happening and how I'm going to proceed. So I decided to delete these faces, and I think it's where I realized I have this funny triangle here. And it's just some more brain farts trying to figure out. I was wondering if maybe there were two vertices on top of each other there, blocking my edge loop, but no, it was just an error. And here I'm going to alt select this edge loop going around, because obviously I don't need it. So press X, dissolve edges, and now there's another problem here. We've got a quad. We've got that one vertex there, so I'm just adding an edge loop on the other side, and then I use the knife tool and connect it up. Hit enter. Blender takes a while with the knife tool, I don't know why, and just do the same on the other side to not have this quad here. And yeah, that's it. Solved everything. Quads again, and everyone's happy. So now we're gonna go back to selecting these faces, and yeah, delete. I don't need them. They're confusing me. And yeah, I just gotta think how to do this now. So I was thinking of just selecting these and pressing F to try and fill in faces, but it won't work. So I grab this vertex and from the right view extrude up to that vertex, extrude one more time to the next, and I should have done this in top view actually, but anyway, now we can hit F there, and if you select these two vertexes here and just hit F, Blender automatically goes to the other side. Here we need to extrude up to be able to connect it, so extrude up, select those vertices, hit F, and we're just going to do the same on the other side here. Start there, extrude, extrude one more time, and here things got a bit weird, so top view, and now I can just follow that shape and be down top view. Okay, cool. And when I did this, I noticed that on the other side I didn't bring it forwards the way it should be, and now we can just select all that, hit F, select those front ones and hit F, F. Cool. Here I thought that something weird's going on, but actually the shading just made those faces a bit darker. So yeah, I realized that when I moved it, it's actually fine. Just bringing these a bit in, making it look better. And yeah, so now we're gonna fill in this. Okay, just fix that part, and then we're just gonna fill in this two faces that need to be filled in here. Okay, I was drawn to just hit F again, but can't. I need to have this vertex coming through like that. And yeah, then we can select here. I selected the wrong vertex and I hit F, and you can see it connected to the bottom there. Not cool. So just undo that, select the right vertices this time, make sure, hit F, select those two. For some reason I couldn't just hit F, so just select those and hit F. And yeah, so now we're set actually, because it's as simple as selecting all these edges right around, extruding inwards. So I think I extrude and scale in, and then we can take this up. And yeah, it's just extrude and scale. So this is a very flat looking clown shoe at the moment, but we'll get there. Yeah, so proportional editing on, and I'm making some edits to give some more shape to the shoe. Yeah, finally the way to solve this, I'm gonna just be scaling it on the Z and stuff, and it's just gonna work out just because of how I've modeled it, I guess. Here on this part I'm just trying to round it off. It came from a squarish or rectangular shape, so I'm using the GG trick, G twice, and just moving them to get kind of a round shape. Here obviously the heel doesn't go flat like that, so I'm bringing all this back, and yeah, using the GG trick again. Yeah, just slowly shaping this shoe. And yeah, I don't have any reference for this shoe, but yeah, if you have a shoe in mind, just go on Google, look at it, and yeah, it's really hard to find decent side or side perspectives that don't have perspective. That's an orthographic view. So usually it's just best to grab an image and just look at it. Like use Alt Tab shortcut, and it will change from Blender to your previous thing, which would be your image, and just keep that all the time to go back from Blender and your picture, just so that you can keep looking at that shoe and try and shape your shoe accordingly. That's very nice to as well follow a shape and then stylize it afterwards. You know, you've got a shoe that makes sense after following the shape, and then you can go and make some tweaks to it. Okay, so here I'm kind of happy with the shape. I don't want to go overboard with it. This is a cartoon style um, thing anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna play with the scaling quite a bit before adding the subsurf and making a few edits, and then I'll finally scale again to fix it up and make it look good. So yeah, proportional editing, scaling just on the Z after selecting all the bottom vertices. That gives the shoe some depth. Added an edge loop there just to give it some roundness, and yeah, here I'm adding and holding edge loop to have a kind of crease there. That would as well be where we're going to put the bone for the bending of the toes, of course. And yeah, added another edge loop in there, and I'm going to just take the top part and pull it down without proportional editing. Yeah, that just adds to that specific part having more of a crease. And yeah, so here I've decided to add some more detail to this part of the shoe, so I'm insetting all those faces, and I think I'll be extruding it up just a little bit and scaling it, trying to lock it to an axis, seeing which one works out the best. And yeah, the shoe it's looking better. I think it's time to add the subsurface soon. Before we do that, I'm going to move the shoe in place, add some holding edges where needed. Here I want to just shape the ankle a bit more. I thought, hey, I'm going to scale this down, matching the foot or the ankle, but that's wrong. I shouldn't do that. This part should actually be bigger, and then extrude inwards and downwards to kind of make it like it's a shoe, you know, not like the shoe is shaping towards the size of the shape, because that's weird. Yeah, sorry, I hope that makes sense. Here I'm adding edge loops around the soles to keep them sharpish. I'm really sorry about the helicopter. We've got a hospital right next door. They have a helipad. So it should leave soon. So yeah, I added the edge loops needed, adding the subdivision surface, smoothing out the shoe, and yeah, immediately you can now see what we have. Looks decent. We just got some work to do on the top here. It's where I realized that that's not what I want. I'm finally going to delete these two top edges, not dissolve them, delete them, and restart. I'll just go away. It's almost gone. Okay, so I'm still being stupid here, and now I realized what needs to be done. I'm gonna delete this one too, and yeah, now I've got a shape for the shoe that makes a bit more sense. It's a bit stretched, and I'll get into fixing that a bit later. as well. I want to scale this whole part outwards. And yeah, now I extruded this edge loop, and I'll scale it in and extrude it down, scale it in, and then I'm gonna extrude it one more time and hit Alt M and merge it in the center. And like everything else, I'm going to remove every second edge here, like that, and dissolve them just to have a better shape there, or quads. And yeah, that's better. There's still some shaping to do, but first I'm gonna add some more details here. Maybe it's gonna be something like a strap. I don't know why I'm playing with the boundary here. It's like I wanted to do something else. But yeah, finally just extrude this up, and I'll do the same thing with this top part. Inset and extrude it up. So yeah, I'm thinking I should add an edge loop here, and then I found it to be too blocky and stuff. Maybe it would really be like that in real life. So I scaled this down to smooth it out, which is stupid. I should have just undid it and removed the edge loop, and yeah, it would be smooth again. I think I'll go back and do that anyway, because yeah, that wasn't very wise at all. So yeah, as you see, I'm going back, I undo that, got a more smoother look around there, and yeah, there's some more shaping to do around the whole of the foot. So yeah, now I'm just scaling it in the y-axis, and that as well helps, of course, with the shape around the ankle. It looked a bit like a, I don't know, a weird boot for a heavy metal person at that moment. And yeah, here I'm just thinking about when I'm gonna rig, I want certain parts of the character's leg to be where I'd put the ankle bone. So here I'm doing the same with the eyes, adding a mirror modifier and mirroring it across the character by using the mirror object and selecting the character. Here I find it to be rotated too much inwards, so I rotate it a bit out. Obviously then I have to move it out as well. And yeah, I was quite happy with that, except this opening here. And to fix this, I just scale that part in. Quick fix, you know. Yeah, there we've got the shoes done. We're gonna save here, and yeah, we're getting close to the end here. The ninja is looking more and more like a ninja. Yeah, I'm excited to get to the animation part to see how we'll get into the form. Yeah, I'll speak about that when we get there. It's still quite a bit. The series should take about 9 to 10 tutorials. We're going to do quite a few things actually, up to painting by hand a bit, showing you the paint tools, mixing what we painted with some procedural in the node editor. Yeah, we'll be baking a normal map, most likely, or yeah, maybe we won't be baking a normal map. We'll just be preparing the character. I think he's okay like that. And Yeah, so no normal map, but we will definitely be preparing him in a way that he could be used for game. Yeah, here I'm just shortening the body. I want it to be a bit shorter. And yeah, so we're going to prepare it for game at least. Do all the texturing, UV unwrapping for this guy, the shoes, everything. Um, Setting up a rig. We're going to customize the rig. Um, and we're going to do a bit of weight painting, and yeah, finally we'll test the rig. We'll most likely do shape keys for the eyes and create drivers to control them, and yeah,